home, 0-4 on the road. But without Bonzi Wells, Zach Randolph and Rasheed Wallace are going to have to do some work in this game. Can they get up shots quickly in the shot clock, and can somebody make some shots from the outside to alleviate the pressure on those two? Because Houston's leading the league in field goal defense against.
Houston in the road red will start with the ball. Eddie F. Rush threw it up. He, Bill Kennedy, and Violet Palmer officiating the game here in Portland tonight. Jimmy Jackson, last year's Sacramento. We'll visit Sacramento around Thanksgiving time on the back end of this 5-game trip. Francis, the first shot.
Good shot.
Wins that.
Well, you're going to see right here, they're going to go right down to him.
Wallace playing the 3 with Zach Randolph's emergence as he has taken over as the starting power forward on this team. From the outside, the former Michigan State Spartan misses. Dale Davis giving up a half-foot to Yao Ming, comes away with the rebound. Stoudemire and McGinnis, the backcourt, as Tom mentioned. Bonzi Wells serving the second of his 2-game suspension for getting into it with the coach. Did not use nice language in addressing Mo Cheeks on Monday in Dallas and suspended for 2 games. Rasheed Wallace squares the game at 2.
He's a big, big right shoulder guy. He loves getting to that right shoulder. If he can get to that, you're in trouble.
The deep feed down low to Yao Ming, and that's one of the things to watch with Yao. When he's got a foot down there in the paint, that's one of the things Patrick Ewing's been pushing with him, an assistant with Jeff Van Gundy. Just go to the basket. Don't be such a nice guy and share the ball with your teammates as much as you have. Randolph squares the game at 4.
You know, I really think that's something you have or you don't. I mean, either you're a nice guy or you're not a nice guy. Either you have a bit of jerk in you or you don't. And if you're not a guy who's used to throwing elbows and being physical down there and raising a little hell down there, then I don't think that's something you learn. You either have it or don't.
Let's talk about this Houston team. And its construction is a little bit different than it was on paper. They're 2 power forwards. Mo Taylor back off a 6-game NBA suspension as Ming connects over Davis.
He's a great shooter. He has great release on the ball. He's so much bigger than anybody. He's going to be a great scorer in this league.
The other power forward figuring to be in the Houston mix this year, Eddie Griffin, dealing with legal issues that we'll get into a little bit later on. But he is not with the team, and to be frank, not in the plans for the near future. 4 to shoot, and it will be McGinnis giving it to Randolph. A good shooting start here, both sides in the opening first 2 minutes. You talked about the mismatch, George, on one end. Then you've got Dale Davis, who's going to have to deal with Yao, and that size disadvantage on this end.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy before the game says Yao Ming has more trouble with physical guys than big guys. And Dale Davis has done a good job bumping them low, pushing and shoving them, taking his balance away. But I think Yao Ming's going to have a big game.
Stoudemire at the top, close off. McGinnis long. So much for the comment on the good early shooting start.
They close the door.
3 minutes in, all even at 6. The Rockets 8-3, Portland 6-5, unbeaten here at home. Although it's a nice, gentle reception the road team gets these days in the Rose Garden as Jim Jackson knocks down his jumper.
This is the fewest people I've ever seen in the Rose Garden.
What are we thinking of the new Rocket uniforms? Looks like doesn't it look kind of like Space Mountain, like a little Space Mountain, like, maybe not. I don't know, maybe.
I feel like the Jetsons.
Yeah, that's it. If the Jetsons, if George Jetson was a basketball coach, this would be the uni. Of course, the whole change with the logo and the uniforms as the Rockets have moved into the new Toyota Center. Very nice facility in Houston. Mobley on the tape. And the rebound for Randolph.
Got numbers.
He's done a little bit of everything this year.
Nice dish.
Wallace loves to shoot from the outside. Misses the 3. And Steve Francis off the glass. Mobley over Stoudemire. And Houston takes a 4-point lead. Cuttino Mobley, Steve Francis, 36 points a game. They still give you points.
And you know what's amazing? You know, you expected that out of Steve Francis coming out of college. You know, Cuttino Mobley coming out of Rhode Island, 2nd-round pick. You really didn't expect him to be as good as he's been, but he's been a solid guy giving you numbers every single night and understands the game very well, too.
Wallace to Randolph. He's off the mark, and this Rocket team off to a great shooting start. 5 of its first 7. Looks to extend the early lead. Francis used the wall from Yao. And the rebound for Rasheed Wallace. Francis Wallace tried to make the steal, but Stoudemire beat him to it.
Houston is really packed in on the defensive end of the court, not really extending very much on any of their shooters, letting Randolph have the 17-footer right now.
And Zach's had a great start to the season with more the down low stuff, not as much the 15-foot variety. Jackson bounce pass for Yao. Fouled by Dale Davis. Well, we have a second and fourth man on our crew. A good evening to Jim Gray.
Mike, good evening to you. We talked to Jeff Van Gundy before the game. We asked him what his assessment was of the Rockets, who are in first place at this point in the season for the first time since 1997. He said he tells the team, hey, playing hard will only get us so far. If we only play hard, we may be a playoff team, but we're going to get bounced out early. If we play hard and intelligent, we must have both. If we have both, we've got a chance to be something very special. Mike?
Jeff has added what you would expect from Jeff Van Gundy teams during his very successful seasons in New York. Defense, intensity, and that has shown in Houston's numbers. They're giving up 81 points a game, and the opponents are shooting 38% against them, both the best in the NBA.
Yeah, 82-80 grinder.
Woo! We migrate some of that stuff out west. Davis over Yao, so Dale Davis. Still going strong at age 34, averaging 7 and 7. 7.7 boards. Yao.
I think he could do that more often, where he cuts it. Sometimes he cuts across the middle of the key and doesn't look to receive the ball. If he just cuts across the middle and the guy plays behind him, just stop and yell for it. If you get it right underneath the bucket, that's almost a two-point surety.
Kennis gets inside to Randolph. That's where he's been doing so much of his damage. What a player he's developing into, George.
Randolph is actually sacrificed right now, letting Wallace having the paint, and Randolph is floating out. But as you said, he's best around the basket, one of the best young players in the paint in the NBA.
Ooh. Francis tried to feed Yao, couldn't get it, and Rasheed Wallace comes away with his Houston turnover. Mo Cheeks will stop it here inside of 6 minutes. Good early start for Houston, leading by 4. You saw the great game going on in New Orleans. We'll have the wrap-up of that Indy-New Orleans game coming up as we continue.
The Hornets down by 1 to the Pacers. Great final play.
Basic pick-to-pick, the great execution, except for the shot, Bill. Yeah, I know. You got to make that shot if you're going to win the game. But you know what? All you can do is just hug the kid and say, hey, that was a great try. Why was he the guy that threw it along?
David West wide open. David West wide open. As you said, classic pick-the-picker play. So Indiana gets the win, 76-75. 24 points for Jermaine O'Neal. Baron Davis, 33. But the Pacers now a perfect 6-0 on the road. Let's head out west.
Rick Carlisle's Detroit team was very good on the road last year, and New Orleans goes to Detroit on Sunday, so a tough weekend for the Hornets. Here, Houston off to the 4-point lead. Yao off to the strong start with 8 points thus far.
Hasn't missed a shot. Right now, I think Portland's got trouble. They don't have a man big enough to cover him by one man. Stepania's coming in the game because they got to find out an answer to the big guy in the middle for Houston.
Well, it's not him. I'll tell you that right now.
But he's bigger.
Well, it's still not him. And I'll tell you one thing, when you watch Yao, we're looking at, I mean, this is what sets Jeff Van Gundy's teams apart, is just hustling, and not only hustling, but helping on defense. But when you watch Yao next time he shoots, he's 7'7", and his release points got to be up around 8'3", because he shoots it way over his head, which makes it virtually impossible for any other big guy to block unless you come from the weak side and try to time it.
George mentioned Vladimir Stepania, who played for the Miami Heat last year in the lineup. 3 to shoot for Jeff McInnes from up top. And the rebound by Yao. Houston controlling this game early, 6 of 9 from the field, out to the 4-point edge. Jackson a 3.
I love, it didn't really lead to the bucket, but I love the pick and roll by the big guy in the open court. I love when big guys come down in fast break situations instead of pick and roll for a little guy.
Wallace trying to take advantage of his advantage on the offensive end, can't convert. Jackson, Kelvin Cato came down the lane, rattled the rim, but didn't dunk.
When you average like 7 points a game, you may want to convert everyone.
That's miserable. You miss a dunk, the guy makes a 3.
Kelvin Cato's played so well, 7th-year man out of Iowa State. really giving Jeff Van Gundy some good play in that power forward spot with the injury to Maurice Taylor, then Taylor's suspension, and the absence of Eddie Griffin. Yao over Stepanya.
Still hasn't missed.
He is just smooth. He really is.
4 of 4 from the field. Stoudemire's trying to lose Francis. 6 to shoot for Randolph. Over Kelvin Cato. He comes away with the rebound.
The size of Ming and Cato remind me of David Robinson and Duncan. I mean, they protect the paint very well. They're huge. Yao Ming's not a great defensive player right now, but his size is still a presence.
Here comes Mo Taylor, that substance abuse NBA drug policy violation suspension. Was 10 games, reduced to 6. He now checks into the lineup. Another headache for Mo Cheeks to deal with. A short bench tonight, just 10 players. We mentioned the Bonzi Wells suspension for a couple of games. Derek Anderson out with the bulging disc in his back. The Blazers, before the game, waived Tracy Murray, who had only played in 35 minutes and scored 8 points. But it's a Portland team, shorthanded as it is, playing with just 10 players here tonight.
Portland played a little zone that last possession, a zone that helped them win their last game against Miami.
Victory over Jeff Van Gundy's brother Stan. We mentioned the Bonzi Wells 2-game suspension, and he take 14 points, 5 boards, 3 assists out of the lineup, and don't necessarily think that production will come back when the Blazers take the floor again and the 2-game suspension is done. Stepanya missed the rebound for Cato. I don't think Bonzi's going to be exactly reinserted into the starting lineup when he returns.
And he shouldn't be. And at some point, you got to grow up. You got to grow up and act like a man. I mean, if you want to be treated like a man, you got to treat other people like men. And to disrespect Mo Cheeks, because, I mean, how can you disrespect Mo Cheeks? Great player, doesn't embarrass you on the court as a player. He gives you the respect you need, and then you go ahead and embarrass him like that. And that's just stupid.
Nice find of Stepanya by Jeff McInnes. So the 7th-year man out of North Carolina gets it to the big fellow, while Houston's big man, Yao, has a seat.
It's a going. You know, he can fill it up from the outside, and he's quick enough to get by you right here. It's the first outside jumper, the second outside jumper, and then that leads to this. Whoop, right by everybody. Over Yao Ming. The teardrop, as perfected by Mark Jackson.
The little guy's better than the big guy.
Now well, he can play. I mean, he almost gets lost in the shuffle here. Yes. I mean, people forget that when he was with Toronto, you know, they gave up a lot to get him here because he was a premier point guard. Not as good anymore, but, you know, for spurts, he can light you up pretty good.
Give him credit. He has bounced back. Last year, they didn't play him a lot. They sat him a lot. He didn't play in a lot of games. He came off the bench some. He never really knew what his role was. This year, he comes back. He earned a starting job by working hard in camp. It's been a good story, I think, for Damon to come back and fight like he fought.
Yao adds both free throws. Now just 5 points in the quarter for Houston, but they stopped the 13-0 run. Stoudemire, who, as I mentioned, was a high school star here in Portland, led Wilson High School to 2 state championships, 74-4. Nice feed to Zach Randolph, who made so much of it happen to tie the game at 32.
He just has that knack to make baskets. I mean, I thought that was going to get blocked, and he still finished it.
Francis trapped to Jackson. 2. Still a smooth stroke.
Jimmy Jackson played great 2 years ago in Miami. I thought he had a great year last year in Sacramento. And now he comes down here, and I think he's doing all the little things to help this basketball team.
And Jeff Van Gundy was so happy to talk about what Jim's been able to give the team here in the first 11 games. Off the Randolph miss, Yao the rebound. See if Mobley and Francis can get going a little bit. Mo Taylor lost the handle on the way up, and it was off him last. Again, Taylor's timing is just not there. Not only the 6-game suspension, but also an injury at the end of the preseason. Only played a little bit in the preseason. Injured for the balance of it. Comes back, plays 4 games in the regular season. Just getting his sea legs in that 4th game, and then the suspension, which was to be 10, but then was appealed and back down to 6. This is 2nd game back. Stoudemire trying to give Portland the lead, misfires. Yao from outside. The Montel Woods on the rebound. Oh, Stoudemire,
Nice.
beautiful feed to Randolph, who was fouled by Yao.
That was nice.
Well, the penetration of Stoudemire kind of got that whole play going. Well, college basketball has kicked in, and the Roy Williams era underway. North Carolina, Monday night, we'll see Carolina take on Davidson. Then on Tuesday night, Kansas and Bill Self against Michigan State and Tom Izzo. Number 3 against number 5. That's Tuesday on ESPN. That game at Allen Fieldhouse, all part of Basketball Feast Week, presented by eBay.
Go Tar Heels, babe.
One of Tom Izzo's former players at the line here, Zach Randolph. And a couple of former Tar Heels on this Portland side as well.
Been some lean years, couple lean years there for you, hasn't it?
Just one.
Oh, like the play. Don't you like your players over there now in Carolina?
30-some years of greatness.
Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. Oh.
Enjoying the Arizona-Carolina conversation. The season started, and Syracuse will begin defense of its national championship, guys. Coming up here next week. That's the way you can shut that conversation up. Inside of the game. Inside of 4 minutes here. Portland picked up full court defensively, 2 to shoot. Jackson just beats the clock. And Patterson the rebound. Portland a chance to take the lead. Wallace has been quiet. Heard from here for 3.
Right now, Damon Stoudemire has total control of this basketball game. He's making great passing decisions. He's making scoring decisions. He's put energy into the game. He's been fantastic for the last 6 or 7 minutes.
A 21-7 quarter here in the Rose Garden. Has them loving their Blazers.
Pick you up, but you look at everybody get sucked over to this side of the defense right here, and there's no one to guard Rasheed Wallace, who's a very good three-point shooter. Way too late trying to get out. That's just a mistake. You want to pick up guys who are three-point shooters, and Van Gundy's like, you got to be kidding me.
Why do players leave great shooters open?
Why do players do a lot of things, George?
Well, you're a player. Tell me.
I'll tell you one thing. Francis and Mobley need to get going a little bit. That ain't going to help.
They are 2 of 7 combined as Steve misses that one.
Well, they average 36 points combined. They have 4 points combined right now.
Let's talk about Rasheed Wallace, a good three-point shooter. 45% from outside the arc this year. Randolph from 15 is rebounded by Jim Jackson.
And a lot of times for the bigger guys, it's easier to get off the shots because you don't want power forwards don't want to run out there and try to guard you so you get clean looks.
Well, Coach Van Gundy talked about their transition defense before the game, saying it is one of their weaker areas. Playing Cato and Yao Ming, 2 centers, have trouble finding Rasheed on the perimeter.
Yao out right now. Kelvin Cato works with Torrey Braggs and Jim Jackson, along with Francis and Mobley. Clock running down. Mobley gets him going with a 3.
I wouldn't be surprised now if Van Gundy runs some plays for Francis and Mobley to get them a little more confidence going into the second half.
Did you look at it as a foul here? Torrey Braggs is trying to keep Rasheed Wallace from setting up camp, and Braggs picks up the foul. An NBA rookie out of Xavier, although he's played several years in Greece, Israel, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Spain, the CBA as well.
What kind of training table do they have at Xavier?
Well,
Him,
he's
Brian Grant, Tyrone Hill, Derek Strong,
David West.
They got some big boys coming out of Xavier.
Well, he left X 6 years ago. So.
No, they're still
5 years
big.
ago.
Yeah, he may have got bigger overseas,
Yes.
but the point is, the power forwards they produce are usually pretty yoked.
Probably a time in Venezuela, I would guess, is where he bulked up like that.
Pretty yoked. Come on, that's an old one. Yeah, you got to catch up to speed a little bit.
Don't look to Tom for pop culture. Oh, not pop culture. That's a bad analogy on my part. Rasheed at the line, hits both. Shooting around 70%. Final year of his large contract, $17 million.
4th highest paid player in the NBA.
Be an interesting couple months here.
Ouch.
Off the ball, this goes the other way. It's on Kelvin Cato.
It looked like he moved a little bit. He's saying shots. That's what happens when you have 33 shots at half.
Jackson is short on that jumper. He's missed his 2 threes here in the 3rd quarter. Stoudemire rimmed out a triple. And the rebound for Mobley. Oh, you have so many players you can keep attention on for this Houston team. Mobley misfires. You got to be careful not to take just a shot because you haven't had one in a few trips.
And that happens. I mean, without a doubt.
No, not in the NBA.
Never. Well, George, you're experiencing here. You know, you go segments without getting a word in. As Tom keeps going, you need to get one in. Beautiful move by Stoudemire to extend Portland's lead to 3. Boy, he and Patterson have been difference makers from the second quarter on and helped erase a big deficit here for Portland.
You know what's great? How many players have you seen do this? When they see a guy coming in for him, they make sure they squeeze off a shot before they go to the bench.
Sam Cassell's the best. The best I've ever seen. And it wouldn't be one if he kept going up
In the first quarter, but only 7 since. 17 points, though, 8 rebounds. A very good night as Yao leads all scores. Damon Stoudemire turned this game around in the second quarter. He and Zach Randolph brought the energy as the Blazers erased a double-digit deficit. That energy being seen on the glass. 12-5, a 7-point edge in second chance points, a 6-point edge on the scoreboard. Tim Gray, Tom Tolbert, George Karl, Mike Tirico. That's how we've gotten this far. Settle in for the rest of this Friday night. Francis trouble in the backcourt here. That's an 8-second violation. Good job by Portland. So the last 5 possessions, they picked up 3-quarter full court, and that time gets an extra possession.
I thought Mo Cheeks did a great job coming out of the timeout, pressured him. You know, Houston really doesn't have a great point guard, a true point guard. Stevie Francis is a great player, but as a true point guard, they don't really have one on the basketball court.
And you're right. Good job by Mo Cheeks. Lousy job by the Rockets. Coming out of a timeout, you have to know what the shot clock is and how much time you have to get across the timeline. I mean, that's like sometimes you watch a football game, they'll take a timeout and then come back and delay a game penalty. So what are you doing? He just had a timeout. Could have screwed that one up without the timeout.
I think Houston's got to wake up here soon. They've been shooting 27% since the first quarter. Shot 60% in the first quarter, 27% since then. They got to wake up. If they're going to win on the road, they got to play a lot better right now.
And this is the start of a long road trip, and this team has struggled on long road trips over the last 4 seasons. Randolph beat the shot clock. 3 Rockets there, and Cuttino Mobley goes up to get it and comes down holding his midsection. Out of bounds off Francis. And Cuttino took a shot as he went up to get that rebound, and he's in some discomfort. Trying to watch Jeff McInnes around Dale Davis screening up at the top of the key. Portland has only turned it over 4 times here in 31 minutes. Wallace missed the 3. Mobley gets back-to-back rebounds.
We'll see if they can get some easy shots in transition.
There's a triple. This is feeling better now.
Triples will do that to you.
I'm surprised Portland has not tried to run Yao Ming in more pick and rolls. I know talking to Mo Cheeks at the game, before the game, he thought that would be a good part of their offense. Van Gundy has talked about how their pick and roll defense has struggled a little bit when Cato and Yao Ming have been on the court together. I'd like to see. I think you're going to see more pick and rolls as the game goes on.
Why would he be more susceptible to that at this point in his career?
They just, the penetration, it's hard for, he comes off the pick and roll, he doesn't show well, he doesn't move out on the screens well. He just zones up in the paint, which gives the offense the ability to attack. And I think right now Portland has got that. They're attacking more, they're feeling better at the offensive end of the court. A lot better than Houston right now.
If you looked at him, I would say lateral quickness is the one thing that, and he may never have lateral quickness, but I mean, if you want to be picky, you can find something with just about every player. But I think Coach is right. That's one, you can exploit that. The Lakers did that, the Spurs did that against Shaq a lot. And the Kings did that against Shaq. Maybe not enough when they were playing him in the playoffs, but you get guys who, can't move great laterally. That's a good way to make them work defensively.
And I think as the season goes on, they're going to have to get better at that. That's where teams are going to go. And I think Portland.
Sumo Duck getting set for the biggest state event tomorrow. It's the Civil War. That's the name for the Oregon State football rivalry. Here it's been a struggle for Houston, shooting 33% from the field. Just 30 points scored in the second and third quarter. It's 64-57 as off we go to the fourth quarter.
Speaking of Civil War, it's like these guys are shooting gem shots with muskets. It's horrible. Hey, look at that one.
Torrey Braggs inside. Gets it to go for Houston. You saw Maurice Taylor injured. They continue to work on his ankle and foot, and we'll keep an eye for him. But it's Francis Nakbar, Braggs, Yao, and Jim Jackson on the floor for Houston. Jeff McInnis, a little runner through the lane. Rebounded by Zach Randolph. 4 offensive rebounds and 9 points off those rebounds. One was a...
That can't be. That is right. Oh, that's amazing.
You can go back and watch it, Tom. Count. Tell us if it's right. Yao is doubled by McInnis and Wallace. Still 10 to shoot, so there's time. Francis left 3 on the near side. Rebound put back by Maurice Taylor. So despite that foot injury, the end of the third quarter, Taylor comes back to get it back to single digits. 8-point game. Houston trying to make it close, and they have not been great end of game in close situations. Wallace using it.
Yeah, what was the score of that game? At one point, it was 80-40, wasn't it?
80-40 at halftime. It was double.
That's one of those games where it's like, man, can we just go home?
No, it's a gong game. It's a gong game. You shouldn't have to go into the middle and just gong it.
Oh, J.P. Morgan, why'd you gong that nice team?
Stepania uses the arm, and the offensive foul is drawn by Yao.
Look at the Houston's bench. You know, they're in a very difficult game, not playing very well. And you have 7 guys standing up on Houston's bench in the 11th game of the season. That shows a lot of stuff going on. Good stuff going on in the Houston Rocket team.
Yao with the block from behind there. Portland's turned it over 3 of its last 4 possessions. Same thing they did last trip. Down to Yao, doubled this time. Norris gets it right back to Yao. A 3-point game inside of 6 minutes. And Wallace with the 5 fouls will come back.
The question is in this game, who's going to go in the last drought? Who's going to have the last drought in this game? Because they both had him throughout the course of the game.
Look at Houston's defensive energy. It's a little bit different here. Norris trying to close out on Stoudemire, who hits the jumper.
I think it could be the little guy against the big guy.
7-0 run comes to an end there. The lead is 5 as we approach 5 minutes. Yao knocked down to the ground again. Mobley all the way. Latino Mobley out of Rhode Island has 15 points. Yao leads all scorers in the game tonight with 21. Meantime, Steve Francis, just that first quarter field goal, remains on the bench. Look out. Randolph doubled. Chased down and taken away by Nakbar. Norris with Mobley. Quintel Woods draws the offensive foul. A terrific job by the second-year player Woods to pick up the offensive foul and stem some of the Houston momentum.
That could be a big play in this game right there. That's a great play, a great hustle play. I don't know if there's a charge or not, but it's a great play for Portland to kind of regain.
Juan, here's your primary ball handler right there. I thought he'd give it up a little too early, but now this is your secondary defender on the ball. Look where his feet are. They're inside the half moon. I think that's what Jeff Van Gundy's arguing, that can't be a charge with Quintel Woods inside the half moon. And if I understand it correctly, he's still shaking his head, that Quintel Woods could have taken a charge inside the half moon on Moochie Norris. That was the primary defender, but as soon as he passed it off, he was now the secondary defender, and you have to be outside the half moon.
And quickly, here's Jim Gray.
That's what Jeff Van Gundy was very unhappy with, guys. In fact, he got with all 3 of the officials during the timeout. I believe, from my vantage point, they acknowledged that they made a mistake, and that ended the argument. Didn't get in the basket, but it ended the argument.
Well, no harm as Portland doesn't score. Latino Mobley took a shot in the face. Mo Taylor with a shot in the basket, and it's a 1-point game. Houston has climbed back in it, and they're clawing on the defensive end. See that Rocket bench on their feet. Stoudemire a 3 over Francis as he was coming across his face. Big shot.
And that's one as a defense you live with. The guys that knock down a 25-footer, then you're going to live with that one.
Yao posting on Zach Randolph. The big scores tonight. Tried to pass, turned it over.
Yao Ming's having tremendous trouble with the double team. I see the rest of the game, you're going to see a lot of double teams on him. With Randolph covering, you got to go to the double team.
We also have Quintel Woods here on the floor as the game gets late, as he was against Miami the other night. He ended up hitting the game-winning free throws. Stoudemire to McInnis. Has to be Woods. Francis the rebound. Coming up on 3 minutes left. Portland leading by 4.
Steve Francis hasn't done a whole lot offensively, but he's given you everything he has defensively. Fighting over the screen, staying in front of Stoudemire.
Taylor knocks down another jumper. So Taylor, who has not played very much because of the suspension and the preseason injury, not afraid to take those big shots here late.
Game reminds me a little bit of the Houston game against Golden State a few nights ago.
Yep, sure does. Stoudemire gives Portland a 4-point lead, and Van Gundy takes a timeout. 2:33 to go.
The little guy having a lot of confidence.
As developed here tonight, Yao has 21 points, 9 rebounds, just 2 here in the fourth quarter, and getting a little bit frustrated as well. Steve Francis, who is near 20 points a game, just 2 tonight. It came in the first quarter. Francis 1 of 7 from the field for 38 minutes. Zach Randolph continuing his great season. Even though he's 6 of 19 from the field, he does have 21 points. Damon Stoudemire also has 21, his season high, with 5 assists and 1 turnover. Jim Jackson for 3. And a foul called on Mo Taylor, pushing the back.
I don't think Jimmy Jackson's had a field goal in the second half. I think he's missed every shot he's taken. He had a great first half. He's gone back and being cold. I really think Houston's offense is in process. It's got to grow up a little bit. Right now, it's not there.
A 4-point game, another close game that the Rockets are involved in. Randolph having to handle out high after the Stoudemire pass. 8 to shoot. Wallace a 3. Mobley took the rebound away from Yao, and Stoudemire comes away with it.
Not only another shot, but another 20 seconds off the shot clock, too, which is even more important this time of the game.
Stoudemire gets down low. The kick out, McInnis. That's 3.
Dagger.
Only the second field goal of the night for Jeff McInnis. In there because of the back injury to Derek Anderson. Taylor looks for the shot. Gets it at the free throw line. Rebound, Quintel Woods. This possession will take us inside a minute.
That last possession killed them. They gave up, it was like 40 seconds and a 3.
Stoudemire overhandles McInnis. Good night. And Jeff Van Gundy calls timeout. He told us before the game his team has struggled in tight game situations. Portland is making the play in a hurry. SportsCenter comes as soon as we're done here in Portland. Mobley makes it a 7-point game. Rockets will pick up full court. For the turnover, then the foul. Quintel Woods gets it into the front court. They wanted to get the foul on Woods. The less experienced guy, but they pick it up on Stoudemire, the 88% free throw shooter. However, it was just the first foul in the last 2 minutes, so they had a foul to give.
Well, Steve Francis is telling Eddie F. Rush, I fouled him twice. Yeah, I fouled him twice. Don't make me butcher the guy down there with the ball. And sometimes as an official, I think, in this situation, even if you barely touch the guy, you know they're trying to foul him, you got to give it to him so they don't have to go overboard. But you need to foul right away and put these guys in line immediately.
Trying to get the turnover on the sideline and then get the foul on Cuttino Mobley. Well, we told you SportsCenter's coming up next. Talking about keeping pace I'm not sure what that is. That's a good tease. 100th time, I know what that is. That's Michigan, Ohio State. That kicks off in 11 hours.
You're going to be there.
And I'll be in Section 38, baby.
You gonna be there?
Section
Cool.
38.
I'm going to Washington State tomorrow.
Oh, are you going to the game?
I'm going to Apple Cup.
That'll be great. That'll be fun.
Go to the Apple Cup
Tom,
tomorrow?
what are you doing tomorrow? Stoudemire at the line now.
I'll go to the Iron Bowl.
Mike, how many events are you trying to get to this week?
I'm going to golf on Sunday. I'm going to get to 4 sports in 4 days. Damon Stoudemire has been great at the line. 18 of 20 thus far here this season.
I actually wanted to go to the Florida Rosedale, but I missed that one, so I just said, you know what, we'll wait till next year.
Florida what?
Florida Rosedale, Minnesota, Iowa. The Bronze Pig.
Francis, that's a 3. That had to go. Zach Randolph gets the rebound. Francis, 1 of 8 shooting on the night.
It's hard to win when you score 76 points.
Portland's won this game with hustle, though. They've won with energy, offensive rebounds, 17 offensive rebounds for 22 second chance points. And the little guys, Damon Stoudemire has had a fantastic game and has brought home a win.
McGinnis missed it. Did not graze the rim. So Houston gets in another tight game late, and they are not able to make the big plays. They'll fall to 8-4 starting this road trip that continues with the Clippers, Utah, Sacramento, and Seattle. Francis with the steal. And these points cosmetic only. Steve will have 4 on the night, one of his poorer offensive nights when he was not injured in the game. And Portland, for all the talk of all the... Oh, there's some words here with Francis. And after the play was done, Francis went in for that layup, and there was pushing and shoving, and Eddie F. Rush gets in there to separate Francis. Did not see who it was with.
Quintel Woods.
Was it Quintel Woods? I'm not sure who exactly was involved there. Very end of the game, Francis went in for the layup. Rasheed Wallace with some words back over at midcourt. And McGinnis and Francis there. And Quintel Woods came over at the back end of it. So certainly frustration on Steve's end, but also the Blazers have to be careful being quick to get angry. And Jeff Van Gundy's team absorbs the loss. McGinnis, the big shots at the end of the game, leading point scorers. Portland, Stoudemire 23, Wallace 21, Yao had 21 for Houston. With George Carl, Jim Gray, Tom Tolbert, Mike Tirico, thank you for watching this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.